since it's been driven and everything's kind of been test fit, and I know where my fenders and stuff are gonna not rub my tires. I have finished out the wheel lips on both sides. I've got both of those welded in solid now and extremely strong. I ended up pulling that in just a little bit, so I'm going to drive it again. I actually changed the inner lip and curled it around a little bit more to give me a little more clearance, so I think I'll be good on that. But I'm going to drive it anyway. I've got my lights all finished up in the front. Had to make those shields and all that and put them in and then wire them and wire it up for my Hellcat. Both side intakes will have a little Hellcat light in there, and probably make that come on when the headlights come up. Then I've got this bottom done. I've got this supported, made a plate on the outside, plate on the inside for that lower valance, and I'll show you that here in just a second. And I'm fixing to start on the hood. So I'm going to go, and that's my last bit of metal work. So I'm going to go ahead and get this hood framed out, how I want it to look, and then we'll start working on getting some body work done. To make the frame for the hood, I want the hood to be just perfectly flat, and it just look like it run right up to the blower, and probably outline your blower like 5 millimeters all the way around. And that's pretty much how I've done. All the gaps are pretty close to 5 millimeters. And that's why I got this solid bounce in there. So that moved the motor just a little bit, changing this front end around a little bit, because I raised all this to bring the sides in just a little bit on the front. So I got your fenders as tight as I can get them to the wheels and tires, and the tires still articulated, not rub and stuff, and it really give it a good look. But it changed how this frames the blower. So I've got a piece of 14 gauge, and I will make the frame out of this 14 gauge. So I'll go in there and outline this blower at this. I'll mask this off, and then scribe all the way around, draw all the way around the pin, exactly where you're going to see that where that blower is coming through the level of that hood, and then frame it with this piece, 5 millimeter gap all the way around, and then insert that piece back into the hood, and then put my plate back on the back side of it, and it'll just be. I'll have that nice 14 gauge edge right there all the way around, and then it'll just go right back into the hood. So I'm getting started. This is my plate. This is my first little template I made, and that gives it the inside template. And then once I get that made, I'll blend the two outsides to the hole I have, and then that'll be off to body work. But this is going to be a difficult job, just where this is located and how it is. So this will take me a minute, and I'll take my time, and hopefully get this thing in here and not move anything. Look at the car. All my interior is still in it, and it's clean and nice and new, and so I keep it covered completely, and then I keep another cover over top of this to protect that. But hopefully it won't take much of this part. When I get ready to go to the paint shop, it's going to be painted, mask and paint. Headlights are looking good. You can see what I mean about the blower. I've got to bring that in just a little bit all the way around. And I got my plate made for the inside of it for my support. So there's my little support plate, and I'll trim that to the piece I frame it with. But that it worked out real nice, and that's a pretty stout little piece right there. Alright, TJ, I've got your, so I marked your blower all the way around. And like I did, I've done that before, trying to get it close is where it is right now, but I've really dialed in this time with this piece. And this piece, taped it in place, and then did a 5 millimeter gap all the way around it, cut that out, and then I've got this piece of 14 gauge sheet metal, and then I'll transfer that to that, and cut that middle out, and then really fit that in. I'm going for a pretty good fit right here, and I'm just going to take my time and do it one time, one and done. Here it is, and it fits in there pretty nice. I use that 14 gauge because that's going to be the edge that I see all the way around, and got the back piece fabricated. I mean, it's pretty much ready to weld. You know, we had to secure the engine, bought the solid mounts. We cut almost 10 millimeters off those mounts to get this motor right here in this location. And with the solid mounts, now it's holding it solid where it doesn't move because it was moving around so much it was touching the hood. And then I raised the front end, brought the fenders in on both sides, done quite a bit lined this front end, fabricated some plates inside there, finished up all the headlight stuff that needed doing, and I've been studying on this, got a little bit more to do here as far as the trim, because I don't know what the reveal, don't really know how this was going to look and how it was going to fit. I was just trying to outline it in about a 5mm gap all the way around. And it takes a lot of fitting because that gap angle changes. So like at the rear, the 5mm is between it this way, up and down. And in the front, it's this way. So it makes it a little difficult to cut. So I'm cutting the back out real slow, working my way back, because I'd hate to have to remake that piece or cut something wrong, grind too much or something, or change the look. I want it to kind of match back that blower, so it might even have a little bit of a curve to it on the back as I do that reveal. We'll see how that goes. But I'll give you a closer look at this. And like I said, I'm going for a 5mm gap all the way around. But back there in the back, I'm opening that up quite a bit more towards the rear. Maybe put a little arc in it in the middle, because the two blower rotors are. It's got a little bit of indentation right there. I don't know, but so far so good on that. It is really turning out nice how that blower is going to look. And when we started this job, you know, 3,500 something hours ago, that is the location I wanted the hood to be, where the hood come up and then just went right into that radius and then right over the blower. And that's exactly where it came out. And that's pretty good. I think I've got it ready. I've got a welding blanket in there so I can tack weld it right there where it's at, and the hood is setting right exactly how it needs to set. I've got me a little gap all the way cut around it for the shrinkage as I weld it in place. And I'm going to just tack weld it, grind it, stretch those welds, tack weld it, grind it, stretch those welds, just do that over and over and over. It's going to take a bit to get it in there, but I'll put it in there nice and cool, and you know, like tack weld here, then there, and you know, and just it's going to tighten, it's going to pull back into the hood. And it's a little dangerous doing it out of the center hood, because it'll want to take the crown out of that hood when you tighten that metal up. And so that's why I'm going to stretch the welds and grind and stretch the welds as I go. But right now it's about a 4 to 5mm gap all the way around it. And I know that's tight, but that will allow me a little bit of adjustment. Once I get it all done, I'll put it back on there and then take a little compass and scribe me a little line exactly where it needs to go. But yeah, it's a good little piece right there. So I'm going to start welding her in. Alright, I got it welded in there. It took a bit to get it welded in there. Right out in the middle of that hood, in the center of that crown of that hood, is a tough place to weld a piece in because of the shrinkage and to maintain that crown. So you have to stretch those welds constantly. But I think I got a pretty good deal on that. And then I took and had to cut all that out to get it around the motor and stuff. Tried to just do something pretty quick and easy there, and it looks real good. It's 16 gauge all the way through, and been pickled and welded solid. Then tomorrow I'll work on this plate that I made for the inside. It'll be my support, but I won't put that in until I reset the hood, make sure my arch is just right. If I need to add a little bit of arch in it, I can do it with that piece. How I install it, it'll be the last piece of the puzzle. I've got all your metal work now done, and it is fitting around the blower beautifully. I mean, after I stretched the metal around that weld, it fit exactly. I mean, I put it on the car, bolted the hood on, shut the hood, and it was just an exact perfect fit. So now I went back through here and kind of cleaned up some stuff, and I had a little oil cannon back here. I kind of worked that metal out right there to make it good and strong. And now I've got it set up here on my lift, where it's suspended in a way that would kind of replicate how it would be on the car. And then this piece, I've got it pickled and a weld through primer, a little light weld through primer, and I'm going to install this piece. It's a 16 gauge piece I handmade, and it'll just be a little frame support in there. And I put just a little bit of a post tension in these so that it'll have a little bit of tension as it goes in. I'll plug weld that in and hopefully get it back on there. I mean, it is so tight fit, I have to move this forward just to clear the throttle actuator and the throttle body. Well, TJ, it's all come together. This is like the final piece of the conversion. Was getting the blower trimmed out and coming through the hood at a certain location. Now, it's been a lot of work to get it to this point with custom mounts, and I've had to lower the motor and a bunch of different little knick-knack stuff. and then getting the crown, keeping the crown in the hood, because all the welding I have to do every time I weld it shrinks and tightens up, and stretching that out and making it lay flat. I wanted it not to look like a fiberglass hood, so I've got that 14 gauge all the way around, and that's just what you see is that 14 gauge. So it really turned out good. But the really cool thing of this is when we started this project about 3,500 hours ago, my plan was we wanted the blower to come through the hood, and it was going to have to by the way the two cars were made. This one has to be channeled down on the Challenger. I wanted the blower to come out the hood right there where that roll is. So it was the hood, then roll up into the blower, and then the blower fold into it. That was 3,000 plus hours ago, and now the last piece we do is the blower, and it come out in that exact spot all the way through the whole car. Everything about the location of this car to the millimeter has to be right in the right spot for that to happen. And so I'm very pleased with that. I'll give you a closer look at how this turned out. But she is. I got my emblem in there, and boy, that little bit of red really looks good with that caliper. I got my front valance supported and secured, and all the front built in there to hold all that. And then here's the icing on the cake is the way that blower reveal is. It's right at a 5 millimeter gap all the way around. I have not fine-tuned that yet. That was the cut I made on the trim piece. When I made the trim piece, I installed it, welded it in, stretched my metal, set the hood, closed the hood, and there it is. It really turned out nice, and all that is very strong. And then inside here, I have the made a little frame, a little support, and cut all this out, and put this support in there, solid. And then and then the metal is such an exact fit. There's going to be no filler. All you're going to see is the edge of that 14 gauge all the way around that, which is going to look really good.